Crimestoppers Hotline U-turn. Hi there guys, I don't know if you've seen this recently. This really follows on from my unannounced police visits video. I don't think I mentioned it in the video actually, but additional to the unannounced visits, the ACPO, which is the Association of Chief Police Officers, had also set up a Crimestoppers Hotline. The hotline's intention, apparently, was for members of the public who were worried about an FAC or SGC holder acting suspiciously, being involved in organised crime or terrorism, etc., could phone up and say, check this guy out, and then they would do an unannounced visit. Now, obviously, that's hugely discriminatory when you consider that how the checks that we all have to go through, especially if you're in a club, you have to go through 10 weeks firearms training and have an oral exam at the end of it and all the rest of it. In fact, if I'm honest, if you're a club member, you actually go through more vetting and more training than the firearms response unit do to join the armed police. So it's a bit of a bloody cheek, let's be honest. Tarring us with this brush, suggesting that we're involved in crime. I mean, look at the stats. Where are the stats that show anybody with an FAC has ever committed any act of terrorism ever? I mean, I'd be interested to see the organised crime stats as well, and I bet they'll be very similar. So, what's this all about? It's out of order. We've all kicked off about it. Now, it's thankfully, the ACPO have actually written a letter. I'll pop it up on the screen briefly behind me. And this letter basically lays out that they've decided to stop with this number. Indeed, of course, if a member of the public is really concerned, then fair enough. They can phone the general number and report it. But the danger was with this official number is it was just hugely open to abuse. You could have aunties and people like that phoning up maliciously. You could have somebody you just fell out with for some reason or just didn't like you could phone up and complain and get you into a lot of trouble. So thankfully they've gone back on that. If you look at the writing in the letter, there isn't really an acknowledgement about how unbelievably out of order they've been, but at least it shows they're engaging with us. And it does just go to show that all this publicity that we put out there, videos like mine, but also YouTubers like English Shooting and various other people, really do count for something. I know like Firearms UK as well has done an awful lot about this on Facebook, and it really does help to get the community together and to get a voice together so that these guys can actually see that we're not going to take this line down. We are going to make our voices heard, and it just goes to show that in the end, it did turn out that they did change their mind. So it's not a big victory, but at least it shows that they're engaging with us. It would help if they did that more in the future. Perhaps if they are worried about just putting your guns in your cabinet and things like that, which they said initially that's what they were doing, maybe they could just send out a letter to people saying, be careful, make sure you're doing this. That would be a much more pleasant and respectful way to engage with us. But either way, we've got something out of it, so that's great. I'll put the links to the story and the letter in the description. I've not actually had my letter yet, but apparently I'll get one at some point, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But it just goes to show that there is a bit of a problem here, because this entire thing wasn't any kind of act of parliament. There was no law that was passed that said that we had to have this hotline and we had to have these visits. It seems that the Association for Chief Police Officers thinks that they've just got the right to make up new laws, like there's some sort of unelected government that can decide what our laws are. I mean, last time I checked, the police were supposed to just uphold the law, whatever that law was, as voted for by the people, but yet they go beyond their remit, and they've been caught out here, and they've gone back on it, which is great. But I know this goes on a lot. I know that my FEO in my area, which is West Mercia, said to me, for my 2.2 rimfire initially, he said, you need to have had experience with this firearm. You need to have gone out and shot it in the field. And I want you to get somebody and sign a piece of paper to say they've taken you out. And I'm like, well, hang on a minute. That's not even technically legal. I mean, the law says vaguely that a non-FAC holder with an FAC holder has to have the permission of the occupier, and it's very vague as to who the occupier is. So essentially, he's expecting me to ask someone with an FAC to potentially break the law and sign something to that effect, just so I can have a 2.2 rimfire. As it happened, I had experience with various other people, so I was okay. But who does this guy think he is? This isn't up to him. This isn't in legislation. The legislation says quite clearly, you need to have good reason. If you've got good reason, which I do, like all of you do, who have been granted an FAC, then you should get what you've asked for. It isn't up to them to just make up new rules. But this is going on more and more and more, and this is why it's important to get your voice out there. Join these Facebook groups, look at YouTube channels, comment, share, get it out there, express your opinions. If you see an article in a newspaper, comment on it, share it, talk about it, get the information out there. Because the more we do this, the more the British public, the lay people as it were, who see this, think, hang on a minute, this is unfair, these people are being victimised here for no good reason, and then, you know, they won't be able to get away with this kind of behaviour. So either way, as I said, keep it up, it's all great. I'll put the links to the letter and the story in the description via the Countryside Alliance, and you know, have a look and let me know what you think. So either way, yeah, that's that really. I have been out this weekend. I did get out shooting yesterday after the pheasants. Unfortunately didn't get any, but I did shoot a pigeon. In fact, if you look here, you'll be able to see one that I shot out of a tree. Unfortunately, I didn't really get enough footage to knock a video together, so that'll have to do you for now. But I'll be out again soon. I'm hoping to lamp some buddies soon with this. It obviously, girlfriends and that sort of thing play a part here, but when I get a free night, I'll get something together, and hopefully we'll get a video that's a bit different for you, and you know, maybe, well, hopefully you'll enjoy that. So yeah, I hope you like that. Like and subscribe.